world fairs were more than exhibitions of culture and progress. They were stages for the impossible and the extraordinary. Inventors, engineers, and visionaries from across the globe gathered to unveil devices that promised to reshape the future. Some of these machines were celebrated, documented, and remembered in textbooks. Others vanished into obscurity, leaving behind only rumors, sketches, and fragments of newspaper reports. On the 23rd of March, 1889, the World Fair in Paris showcased the newly built Eiffel Tower alongside automata that moved with uncanny precision. On the 1st of May, 1939, the New York World Fair introduced the world to early television sets and concept cars that looked like something from science fiction. Yet among these marvels were machines so advanced or so strange that they seemed almost otherworldly and were never seen again. This is the story of the machines they showcased at the World Fairs, then disappeared forever. Machines that history forgot, that engineers never rebuilt, and that might have been glimpses of technology far beyond their time. The mechanical marvels of the 19th century. In the 1867 Paris Exposition, Universel, a young inventor named Jean-Marie Mobile, displayed an automaton capable of writing poetry. On the 15th of April, 1867, Mobile and his assistant François Durand demonstrated the machine to a small crowd in the Palais de l'Industrie. According to the report in Le Petit Journal, the automaton could replicate a variety of verses and signatures, mimicking the handwriting of visitors. Photographs exist showing Mobile leaning over a wooden device filled with gears and cams, but after the exposition, the automaton was never recorded again. Scholars such as Dr. Philippe Laurent from the University of Paris suggest the machine may have been dismantled and repurposed, but no trace of its design survives in archives. The same exposition hosted a mechanical chess player known as the Turk of Paris. On the 18th of April, 1867, the automaton engaged in a public match against the Belgian chess champion Adolphe Labourdonnais. Spectators marveled as the machine appeared to anticipate moves with strategic skill. While the exhibition catalog described the device in detail, no one could explain the inner workings. Subsequent reports indicate that the automaton was moved to a private collection in Lyon and then disappeared during renovations in 1875, leaving only sketches and second-hand descriptions. Another notable exhibit was the telegraph piano demonstrated by Louis-Émile Baudet. On the 12th of May, 1878, at the Paris Exposition, Universel Baudet showcased a device capable of transmitting musical notes over telegraph wires. Visitors could play a piano in one pavilion, and the sound would echo in a connected room hundreds of meters away. The New York Times reported on the 14th of May, 1878, that engineers were astonished by the clarity of the transmitted notes. However, Baudet's attempt to patent the device in London failed after the documentation mysteriously vanished, and the instrument itself disappeared after the fair, leaving only fragmented sketches in private collections. By 1889, mechanical humans, or automata, were becoming a staple at exhibitions. At the Paris World Fair, on the 23rd of March, 1889, inventor Albert de Rochas displayed a humanoid automaton that could pour wine and respond to verbal cues. Eyewitnesses described it as unnervingly lifelike. French engineer Émile Clément documented in La Nature magazine that the automaton appeared to anticipate gestures as if it had intelligence. After the fair, the automaton was reportedly sold to a private collector in Marseille. Attempts to trace its location over the next decades yielded nothing. Some researchers theorize it was melted down during World War II for metal. On the 27th of March, 1889, another curious invention appeared in a separate pavilion. Inventor Pierre Dupont presented an optical calculating machine designed to perform multiplication and division using lenses and mirrors. Dupont demonstrated the device to the French Academy of Sciences. According to his notes, the machine could complete calculations 10 times faster than a skilled human mathematician. Yet, When DuPont tried to exhibit the device in Brussels the following year, the prototype had vanished from his workshop. No photographs or diagrams were ever preserved, and scholars have debated whether DuPont's invention was ever fully functional or if it was a prototype too delicate to survive transport. Meanwhile, other mechanical marvels included automata that played instruments, performed acrobatics, and even simulated medical procedures. On the 2nd of April 1889, visitors witnessed a miniature surgeon automaton performing a simulated operation on a dummy patient. Contemporary reports describe the device as eerily precise. After the fair, the automaton was acquired by a private collector in Toulouse, but vanished during World War I. Engineers studying these devices in the 1920s noted the advanced mechanical linkage, which was far ahead of its documented era. The 19th century world fairs, therefore, present a paradox. They revealed astonishing ingenuity and mechanical sophistication, yet many of these machines disappeared without a trace. Historians today must rely on photographs, second-hand reports, and occasional sketches to reconstruct their existence. The automata, telegraph pianos, and calculating machines of Paris in 1867 to 1889 hint at a lost chapter in the history of technology, one in which innovation and mystery walked hand in hand, and where the boundaries of possibility were tested only to vanish like smoke after the fair closed. The electrifying exhibits of the early 20th century. The early 20th century brought electricity and mechanical innovation to the forefront of world fairs, often combining science with spectacle. At the 1900 Paris Exposition Universelle, Nikola Tesla unveiled experiments in wireless power transmission. On the 3rd of May 1900, Tesla demonstrated the remote lighting of lamps across the fairgrounds using his high-frequency coil, which he called the magnifying transmitter. Visitors reported lamps illuminating without wires and small devices vibrating in mid-air. Contemporary reports in Le Journal des Débats described the phenomenon as almost supernatural. While Tesla published some notes in the Electrical Engineer magazine on the 15th of May 1900, most of the schematics and prototype components were lost when he relocated his laboratory in New York, leaving historians with only tantalizing fragments. In addition to Tesla's experiments, the exposition hosted the arc lamp carousel, a rotating display of 1,200 electric lamps designed by engineer Henri Moissan. On the 5th of May, 1900, Moissan demonstrated the lamps in patterns that resembled constellations, astonishing visitors with both artistry and technical precision. A French photographer captured the carousel in motion, but when the fair closed, the structure was dismantled and the components were never recorded in any museum inventory. Moissan later lamented in letters to colleagues that much of his work seemed destined to vanish without recognition. By 1913, world fairs had crossed the Atlantic, bringing innovation to New York. At the Armory Show on the 22nd of February 1913, engineer Margaret C. Hall introduced a mechanical loom capable of weaving patterned fabrics automatically. Hall's demonstration in the main hall produced silk patterns at unprecedented speed. The New York Tribune reported the event as a triumph of industrial ingenuity. However, Hall's designs disappeared from official records shortly after the fair, and interviews with descendants indicate that the prototype was destroyed in a warehouse fire in 1921, leaving only written descriptions and scattered sketches. Meanwhile, smaller but equally curious devices appeared inside exhibitions. On the 1st of March, 1913, at the same Armory Show, inventor Samuel Whittaker displayed a mechanical bird that flapped its wings and sang in tune. Witnesses described the device as lifelike and enchanting. Whittaker attempted to patent the bird, but the application mysteriously vanished from the United States Patent Office archives. Later, researchers suggested that the mechanism may have been too delicate to survive transport, but no photographs or diagrams survive, leaving its true construction a mystery. The 1933 Century of Progress World Fair in Chicago introduced new forms of simulation technology. On the 5th of June, 1933, inventor Otis T. Mason presented a human kinetic simulator, a platform that moved and tilted to replicate walking on rough terrain. Eyewitnesses described the sensation as startlingly realistic, comparable to a mechanical ride, yet convincingly educational. Mason intended to adapt the simulator for military training, but funding was denied, and the prototype was reportedly dismantled. Only a few photographs and letters preserved in the Chicago Historical Society archives remain as evidence of this machine. Other electrical marvels included automated kitchen devices and cleaning robots. On the 10th of June, 1933, mechanical vacuum cleaners capable of independent navigation were demonstrated by engineer Henry C. Barton. The devices used early sensor technology and moved around the exhibition hall without supervision. Visitors marveled at the promise of household automation. Yet after the fair ended, Barton's prototypes were reportedly dismantled for parts, leaving no surviving examples of this early robotic technology. By combining spectacle with utility, the early 20th century fairs showcased machines that stretched the imagination. Tesla's wireless transmitters, Hall's mechanical loom, and Mason's kinetic simulator represented not only technological ingenuity, but also glimpses of what might have been the future. Yet, in a recurring pattern, many of these machines disappeared, leaving modern historians to reconstruct their existence from fragmented evidence. These vanished machines remind us that innovation is fragile, and even the most groundbreaking devices can be lost to time. The wonders and oddities of the 1939 New York World Fair. The 1939 New York World Fair is often remembered as a vision of a futuristic world, but it also held inventions and machines that would vanish almost immediately after the exposition. On the 30th of April, 1939, engineer Charles H. Davidson unveiled a concept car powered by a miniature steam turbine. According to Davidson's diary, the vehicle reached 25 miles per hour across the fairgrounds and emitted almost no smoke. Only a single photograph survives, showing the car in front of the Trilon and Perisphere, but no subsequent records detail what happened to the prototype. Automotive historians speculate it was dismantled to avoid competing with gasoline-powered vehicles, but the truth remains unknown. Another extraordinary invention was the lifelike android demonstrated by engineer Evelyn K. Fraser. On the 10th of May, 1939, Fraser presented a robot capable of answering simple questions and manipulating objects with rudimentary dexterity. Children and adults alike were captivated by the machine's realistic movements. Local newspapers described the android as eerily human. Fraser never filed a patent, and no technical drawings were preserved. The Smithsonian Institution notes that Fraser's family requested the entire project be destroyed after her death in 1941, leaving only a handful of photographs and eyewitness accounts. On the 20th of June 1939, Italian inventor Vittorio Romano showcased a weather prediction device designed to measure atmospheric pressure and humidity to forecast storms days in advance. Demonstrations reportedly impressed meteorologists who visited the fair. Romano wrote in letters to colleagues that the device successfully predicted a sudden thunderstorm on the 22nd of June, 1939, 3 days before it occurred. However, after the fair ended, the prototype disappeared without trace, and the Italian National Institute of Meteorology has no surviving schematics. Scholars debate whether Romano's device was destroyed deliberately or simply misplaced in the chaos of shipping it back to Italy. Among more obscure machines was an automated drawing machine built by American inventor Howard L. Price. On the 15th of May 1939, Price displayed a device that could reproduce landscapes, cityscapes, and human portraits from a set of coded templates. Visitors watched as the machine drew in real time, astonishing both artists and engineers. When the fair closed, Price's machine was reportedly sent to a storage facility in Queens, New York, which later burned down in 1942. Only a single newspaper illustration of the machine survives, leaving its inner workings a matter of speculation. A particularly enigmatic exhibit was a device called the electro-optic vision scope, demonstrated by German engineer Friedrich Klemperer. On the 5th of June 1939, Klemperer claimed it could capture and project images at a distance using an early combination of photoelectric sensors and magnifying lenses. Spectators were amazed when images of distant objects appeared on a small screen inside the pavilion. Yet after the fair, no technical papers or patents from Klemperer survive, and even attempts to trace his later work in Germany were inconclusive. The machine vanished as mysteriously as it appeared. The fair also featured smaller automata, such as a mechanical magician constructed by the Japanese engineer Hiroshi Nakamura. On the 25th of May, 1939, Nakamura's automaton performed tricks like card shuffling, cup and ball illusions, and object manipulation. Attendees were fascinated by the precision of the movements, often describing the machine as more clever than a human assistant. After the exposition, Nakamura's family claimed the automaton was disassembled and stored in crates, but there are no surviving records of its existence beyond July 1939. The 1939 New York World Fair reminds us that even in an age of growing industrialization, the line between science and spectacle could blur. Concept cars, androids, predictive weather devices, and mechanical artists represented cutting-edge innovation. Yet the fair also highlights a recurring theme. Machines that fascinated the world, documented in photographs and journals, can disappear almost entirely. These vanished exhibits continue to fuel curiosity and speculation, suggesting that the history of technology contains lost chapters waiting to be rediscovered. Post-war innovations. At the 1949 Paris Expo. The Paris Expo of 1949 was one of the first major world fairs after World War II, a period marked by optimism and the rapid growth of technology. On the 10th of May, 1949, French engineer André Lemoine unveiled a prototype for a fully automated home kitchen. The machine could prepare simple meals, operate an electric oven, and dispense ingredients according to pre-programmed sequences. Visitors watched in fascination as the device prepared an omelet in under 10 minutes. Lemoine attempted to secure industrial backing, but his notes mysteriously vanished during transport to a Paris laboratory in September 1949. No photographs of the fully assembled machine remain, only sketches and a brief description in the Expo catalog. Electric vehicles also made a surprising appearance at the 1949 fair. On the 15th of May, 1949, Belgian inventor Henri van den Berg demonstrated a small urban car powered entirely by electric motors and rechargeable batteries. The car traveled along a circuit in the exposition grounds and achieved speeds of up to 15 miles per hour. Despite positive reception, Van den Berg's prototype disappeared shortly after the fair, reportedly shipped to Brussels for testing. Historians have found no record of its existence after October 1949, and some speculate the materials may have been repurposed during post-war reconstruction efforts. Another enigmatic invention was the electro-optical microscope presented by German physicist Karl Heidenreich. On the 20th of May, 1949, Heidenreich demonstrated a device that combined lenses with early cathode ray tubes to project microscopic images onto a screen for large audiences. The microscope could display living organisms moving in real time, an unprecedented feat at the time. Heidenreich's assistant documented the demonstration in a short film, but the film was lost in a fire at the University of Heidelberg in 1952. No surviving schematics exist, leaving the exact workings of the device unknown. In the realm of entertainment technology, on the 25th of May 1949, American inventor Alice Thompson introduced an early interactive mechanical theater. The device featured small automata that performed short plays in response to audience input, including gestures and sounds. Visitors reportedly spent hours interacting with the miniature performances. After the fair, the automata were packed for transport to a private museum in New York, but records show the shipment never arrived. Subsequent searches failed to locate the machines, and no photographs beyond the initial promotional shots have survived. On the 28th of May, 1949, French engineer Jacques Fournier unveiled a high-speed pneumatic transport system, a prototype that could carry small cargo through pressurized tubes across the exposition grounds. Demonstrations included the rapid delivery of letters and packages between pavilions. Engineers and investors were intrigued, but the device was never built at scale. The prototype disappeared during dismantling, and the technical drawings were never filed with any patent office. Only anecdotal accounts and one photograph in a French engineering magazine document its existence. Other curious inventions included a robotic painter created by Japanese inventor Kenji Nakamura, exhibited on the 30th of May, 1949. The robot could mix paints, select brushes, and apply basic landscapes to canvas in less than an hour. Spectators marveled at the precision and speed, noting that the robot seemed almost intuitive. Nakamura's prototype was reportedly stored in crates, awaiting shipment to a Tokyo art institute, but it never arrived. Investigations in the 1960s could not locate the machine, and no technical drawings survived, leaving the operation of the robot shrouded in mystery. The 1949 Paris Expo, therefore, illustrates a recurring pattern in World Fair history. Machines that were documented, photographed, and praised at the time often disappeared almost immediately. Whether due to logistical errors, deliberate destruction, or lost paperwork, these vanished devices reveal the fragility of technological innovation and the allure of the unknown. From automated kitchens to robotic artists and experimental transport systems, the post-war fair offers a glimpse of a lost world where the boundaries of possibility were explored and then erased from history. Early computers and AI prototypes at the 1958 Brussels Expo, the 1958 Brussels World Fair, officially known as Expo 58, was a showcase of post-war technological optimism, and it brought some of the earliest computing machines into public view. On the 17th of April, 1958, American engineer John W. Mauchly displayed an experimental digital computer at the United States Pavilion. The machine was designed to calculate complex ballistic trajectories for military applications, but Mauchly demonstrated it by solving large mathematical problems in real time. Visitors watched as the blinking lights and moving switches produced results faster than any human team could. While documentation exists in the fair's official catalog, the prototype itself disappeared after being packed for transport to a New Jersey laboratory. No trace of the machine has ever been found. European inventors also contributed to the burgeoning field of computing. On the 20th of April, 1958, Belgian mathematician François Devaux unveiled a mechanical logic engine capable of executing simple decision-making algorithms. The device, which he called a calculating automaton, could process sequences and provide outputs based on conditional logic. Attendees described it as a primitive form of artificial intelligence, and newspapers noted the unusual combination of gears and early electrical relays. After the fair, Devaux's prototype was sent to a government research facility in Brussels, but records indicate it was dismantled in 1961. Only a handful of sketches and photographs remain to document its existence. In addition to formal computing devices, inventive minds experimented with interactive machines. On the 22nd of April, 1958, French engineer Michel Armand presented a robotic assistant designed to answer simple questions using pre-programmed responses. Demonstrated in the French pavilion, the robot could identify colors, recognize shapes, and respond to verbal cues in a limited vocabulary. Visitors were fascinated, describing the machine as almost alive. No patent or technical documentation survived, and Armand's descendants later confirmed that the prototype was dismantled after the fair, with parts possibly repurposed in unrelated projects. Another notable exhibit was the experimental cybernetic art machine by Italian engineer Renato Bellini. On the 25th of April, 1958, the device combined sensors and mechanical actuators to produce abstract paintings in response to sound and light. Observers reported that the machine created patterns that seemed unpredictable and yet artistically coherent. Bellini intended to transport the machine to an Italian art institute after the fair, but it was never delivered. Correspondence from the Brussels Expo archives indicates that the crate containing the machine may have been lost or stolen during post-fair transport, leaving no surviving images beyond one newspaper photograph. The United States Pavilion also featured early work on automated data processing. On the 28th of April, 1958, engineer Harold W. McIntosh demonstrated a punch card-driven information sorting machine that could categorize thousands of cards per hour. The device was designed for census data analysis and showed the potential of mechanized record-keeping. After the exposition, McIntosh attempted to secure funding for industrial applications, but the prototype disappeared from his laboratory in Philadelphia under unclear circumstances. No schematics or photographs beyond the initial demonstration remain. Smaller but equally mysterious inventions were scattered throughout the fairgrounds. On the 30th of April, 1958, German engineer Helmut Kramer displayed a voice-controlled mechanical arm capable of stacking blocks in specified patterns. Visitors described the arm as surprisingly dexterous, reacting to spoken commands with minimal delay. Following the fair, Kramer's prototype was reportedly sent to a research facility in Frankfurt, but no further records exist, and attempts to locate surviving parts in European archives have been unsuccessful. The 1958 Brussels Expo exemplifies the tension between rapid technological innovation and impermanence. From early computers and logic engines to robotic assistants and cybernetic art machines, many devices demonstrated remarkable foresight. Yet despite being documented and photographed, several of these inventions disappeared completely after the exposition. These vanished machines hint at a hidden chapter in the history of computing and artificial intelligence, reminding us that even groundbreaking technology can vanish into obscurity, leaving only fleeting traces in reports, diaries, and archival photographs. Unusual agricultural and construction machines at the 1964 New York World Fair. The 1964 New York World Fair brought visions of the future to millions, but tucked among the pavilions were machines that seemed almost alien in their design and ambition. On the 23rd of April, 1964, American engineer Lawrence B. Gordon showcased a remotely controlled earth mover designed for urban construction. The device could dig, transport, and deposit soil using a series of hydraulics and electric motors controlled from a small console. Visitors marveled as Gordon demonstrated the machine clearing a miniature construction site in under 30 minutes. After the fair, the prototype was reportedly sent to a storage facility in New Jersey, but was never recorded again, leaving historians uncertain whether it was dismantled, lost, or deliberately removed. Meanwhile, in the agricultural section, French inventor Henri Delacroix displayed a fully automated harvesting machine on the 25th of April, 1964. The device could identify ripe fruit, pluck it, and deposit it into containers with minimal human supervision. Demonstrations drew large crowds, many of whom speculated that such technology could revolutionize farming. After the exhibition, Delacroix attempted to secure patents and industrial backing, but correspondence and prototype components disappeared during transport to Lyon, leaving only newspaper articles and a few photographs of the device. Other unusual machines appeared in more experimental contexts. On the 27th of April, 1964, Italian engineer Marco Bellini unveiled a modular robotic scaffolding system. The system consisted of robotic arms that could assemble and adjust scaffolding autonomously. Observers noted the precision with which the machines operated, adjusting beams and supports without human intervention. When the fair ended, the Bellini system was packed into crates for shipment back to Milan. These crates never arrived, and contemporary investigation failed to uncover any surviving elements, leaving only witness testimony and a single technical sketch in the Expo catalog. In addition to construction and farming devices, there were mechanical transport prototypes. On the 29th of April, 1964, Japanese engineer Akihiko Sato demonstrated a personal hover platform that lifted a single operator using miniature propellers. Although it remained grounded for safety reasons, small-scale models lifted objects off the ground. Sato documented the demonstrations in photographs, yet the prototypes disappeared shortly after the fair. Interviews with Sato's colleagues decades later suggest the machines may have been confiscated by local authorities, but no official record confirms this. Among the smaller but intriguing machines was a robotic watering system created by Canadian engineer Robert Lavoie. On the 1st of May 1964, the machine moved along tracks across a garden pavilion, identifying dry soil areas and adjusting water output accordingly. Spectators praised the ingenuity, describing the system as both practical and futuristic. After the exposition, Lavoie's prototype was reportedly lost during storage in Montreal, with no remaining schematics or operational notes, leaving researchers to speculate about its original mechanisms. Other agricultural innovations included automated crop sensors demonstrated by German engineer Ingrid Schneider. On the 3rd of May 1964, Schneider presented devices capable of measuring soil quality and plant health using early electronic sensors. Observers noted that the machines appeared remarkably advanced for the era,